Thanks for tuning in to Ramshackle United, where we come for the stories and leave with the feeling that we're not so different after all. Today, we have a multi-talented local who you can actually meet in person on Friday, June 12th at the Berkeley Public Library. Author, voice actor, sketch comedian, filmmaker, podcaster, and historian, a person who successfully incorporated a Donnie and Marie reference in explaining how dinosaur fossils came to be, Ramshackle welcomes Jason Klamm.
Thank you so much for A, getting it right, my pronunciation right, B, knowing about my dinosaur video. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Nobody ever brings that one up.
That was a funny video because it reminded us when we flew cross country with little kids on Frontier. That video would have made it so much more tolerable on Frontier.
I mean, I don't know how long it ran on there. Probably not for too long, but it did so I made that for a science class in Chicago for college because I was just like any excuse to make a movie. And he played it in that class for years afterwards, just as an example of, well, this is what your paper could have been kind of thing. You can do this kind of thing. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, bravo. It was excellent.
Thank you.
It was really funny and informative too at the same time. Yeah.
Stuff that I've all forgotten, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, so we'll start off with some kind of basics, like just reading your bio. You're not from Berkeley, Michigan?
No.
What brought you here?
Okay, so my wife is originally from here, and right at the beginning of the pandemic, we were sort of like, we had been offered the opportunity to come here and stay at a family member's house. Just to sort of give us an opportunity to get above water if we needed to, because LA is very expensive. And after 18 years in LA, we was like, no, maybe we don't do this. And we had extra money from the government in California because of the pandemic. We're like, we're not gonna have another opportunity. Let's just drop all this money. Like all the money went to coming out here. And so we just moved out here just to see if things would work. And 8 months in, I sold my first book. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. How long have you been in Berkeley then?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So what do you like most about living here?
Ooh. I mean, it's. I really like the artsy vibe. If I'm honest, I really like that it's artsy and obviously very filled with open-minded people. There are exceptions always, but like it gives me a vibe of back home in upstate New York a little bit, but with. Again, a little bit more acceptance, I think. At least compared to what I grew up with.
Yeah, I always tell people it reminds me of I grew up in San Diego, and it reminds me of going down. I don't know if you've ever been down there, spent much time down there, but there's like some beach communities like Ocean Beach. It's kind of more of an old school beach, and I always think like when we're walking down the end of our street, there's going to be a pier there.
But
there never is.
I get that.
But somehow it's kind of that similar vibe.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Burbank, where we lived in LA. So like the drag and what's it called? Magnolia Park on Magnolia in Burbank, after which the movie Magnolia is named. It's a very nice, chill street. Reminds me of that part of 12 Mile and kind of this part of Coolidge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So just what's your favorite thing to do in Berkeley?
I don't get out much. And the fact that you're seeing me in a closed space with a mask off is very rare. I wear because we have long COVID in the house. I'm very protective of that kind of thing. But so I don't get out that much, but if I'm honest, because I am an emotional eater, Clark's, I will eat ice cream any day of the week. And I do a lot. Had it yesterday. It was great.
Yeah, we actually we walk down there in the winter, like when it was snowing, and just get a pint and bring it home. And
why is that though? That's not a normal thing to do, but I do it.
It's not. I think next winter we're gonna actually try to sit down and eat it outside, just to
see if you can.
Just to say we're kind of Michiganders.
I think so. It's funny. It's like I had never been to Clark. I had visited here before, but I hadn't been to Clark's before I saw the movie It Follows. And then I'm a movie dude, so I was very excited to be like, oh, they shot part of a movie here. I'm always, even though I lived in LA for 18 years, tell me a movie was shot somewhere and I will get very excited still. It doesn't take much. Yeah.
That's cool. So I guess anything that you would improve about Berkeley?
Boy, oh boy. You know what? I'm glad you asked, because I didn't have anything in mind, but this just came up because my wife was talking about this. Usually, the citywide garage sale and Pride are on the same weekend, and you can't. What if you like both things? It's really hard to celebrate both. And we have actually missed Pride several times, specifically because we've had to man our tables or whatever, and you can only quickly run up and, hey guys, yep, we also support this, and then run back home. Make those 2 different weekends. That's the one thing.
All right, we'll make sure that
Pull
gets
some
noted.
strings. Pull some strings
We'll
and
do
fix
what we
it.
can here. We'll see if we get the mayor on.
Yeah. Do it.
All right, so I guess so. How about something unique about you that you want to share?
Let's see. I am a comedy archivist, which I don't think is that much of not a very common thing, because especially somebody without a degree in archiving or library sciences, or even though I do work at the Huntington Woods Library, I do not have a library science degree. But I will say every comedy archivist I know does not have a degree. It is a thing you fall into and you do as a favor to the comedian. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that about your bio, and I have some questions
Okay.
about that a little later. So
Yeah.
that was really, really interesting. And how about a funny moment in your life?
Ooh.
Whatever you feel like sharing, whatever your limit is.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think. Okay, this one pops into my, so when I lived in LA, I worked at FAO Schwartz. There was an FAO Schwartz in LA at the Grove, and we were closing one night. This is an embarrassing story because it just makes me laugh so hard. Katie Seagal, who played Peg Bundy on,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so she was, a nice couple, just a nice couple, maybe no, they didn't have their kid. I would have felt bad, real bad. They came up and I worked at the candy counter and they said, "Can we get some candy?" I'm like, "I'm so sorry, we're closed." I was nice about it. We were closing, 5 minutes till close time. Then they go around and I think they go downstairs. I don't know if they actually did. Katie Seagal comes around. She's like, "Can I get some candy?" And of course, my little punk butt just was like, "Yeah, sure, of course." So then the embarrassment is twofold. One, I'm talking with her, and I didn't realize I had such a crush on her still, but we're just talking, and I'm pouring some malted milk balls, I think, into her bag, but over it and onto the floor. So I'm making a mess, and I'm like, it's just like a comedy movie, just like I'm pouring candy onto the floor. As I'm doing it, the couple I turned away comes up like, oh, I thought you were closed. I'm like, and it's one of the most embarrassing. I have so many embarrassing stories at that time. I was 24 and an idiot, so
Yeah.
everything I did was an embarrassment.
Yep. Yeah, I think we all have those.
Mm-hmm.
I have plenty of them. So if you feel the need to ask, I'll later on at some point maybe I'll
Please.
share. And also we have a pile of which would you choose cards if
Ooh.
you ever want to just interrupt and grab one
Oh
and
my
ask a
goodness.
question.
Okay, all
So,
right. I like that.
I thought those were pretty fun.
I like that.
All right. How about a favorite movie now that you brought up an actress?
That is so hard. A favorite movie of all time?
How about just right now? Like what's in your brain
I
is your
always
favorite
say
movie?
Blazing Saddles. I have that ready to go. I always say Blazing
Oh,
Saddles.
that's a great one.
And although I think Young Frankenstein, which here's the weird thing, came out the same year, is probably a better made film. I still think Blazing Saddles, because it's trying to do something, and I'm a real big fan of comedy that tries to maybe not make social change, but make a social point. I think Blazing Saddles is superior in that way. Even though I love Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. I haven't watched Young Frankenstein in I watched
it's so
Blazing
good.
Saddles last year, and it's just every time I think I noticed something new. Or
Oh, yeah.
it's just such a great film.
I've performed both of those movies on stage. It was a delight. It was
Nice.
so much fun. Yeah.
So, lowbrow. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. For some reason, I don't know if you ever heard of the movie Top Secret.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that is like by far my number one
That's
comedy.
fair.
Like
That's
that
more
pops
than
in my
fair.
head every single time.
I have some other friends who I think are on the same exact page as you. It's not one I grew up with. I saw it like later in life, but I still love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, there are much better films out there for sure.
Doesn't matter, right?
But this one just makes me laugh every single time.
But I don't believe in guilty pleasures anymore. So if I'm going to talk about a movie that I can watch reliably every time and enjoy it, it's Pitch Perfect. I really love Pitch Perfect. I watched that on the book tour because I'm like, I need something comforting, and I watched Pitch Perfect again because I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's great.
perfect.
Yeah. Again, not the highest piece of art, but who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not what I'm out for.
Yeah, exactly. There's a specific reason you watch things at certain times. And,
Yeah. Like, I'm a big Christmas movie guy too, so like I have a real high threshold for garbage when it comes to that. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Like Hallmark stuff.
Yeah, I would. I haven't watched too many of those, but I will.
I think we saw one title over this winter where it was something like a Christmas pickleball or something like that. So
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Like it's to the point where I started writing one because I'm like, I can sell this, right? Like they make 1 million of them. Why can't I sell one? You know? And I just, like, part of my book tour, I was just in a place where they have shot several Christmas movies. And, like, now I kind of get the vibe of where they might shoot. Usually it's just Canada, but sometimes they still shoot here.
Yeah. Cool. How about this one? Since right down your alley. Right now, I know you don't overthink it. who is your favorite comedian or comedian?
Well, Gene Wilder. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but like he's always been my favorite actor of all time is Gene Wilder, and I put him up there. But if but if we're gonna say comedian, somebody who's like professionally only and almost always comic, then it's again same movie, but Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is like my god, my hero. Yeah. So, I love him so much. I've been in the room with him, but I've never like met him. He doesn't know I exist, but it's fine.
He may, though, after this interview,
Maybe,
right?
yeah. I mean, this could be the thing.
He may show up at Berkeley Public Library.
Where's that Klamm kid? Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be phenomenal.
All right, so at what point in your life did you realize that you could make a career out of the comedy industry?
Oh, is that possible? Because I would love to find that out for myself at some point. It's funny. Like for me, comedy and entertainment is always and writing books is gig stuff for me. It is the thing that people know me for. Like it's weird because like the thing people knew me for, if anything, was a podcast for a while. That was a thing I never made a single dollar off of, and so I don't know what it's like to have I don't have a full-time career in comedy or entertainment, so. Yeah, it's one of those things. I haven't hit that point yet.
Yeah, I think looking at the resume, it seems like it's all there. But I guess let me pivot and say maybe not so much a career, but investing so much time and effort into comedy.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it. When I started, my best friend and I started. We taught each other improv, which is to say we BS'd on cassette tape back and forth I was 12, he was 13. I still have that tape, which I'm very happy to say is still in good shape. And that moment of making something joyful with my best friend was like, I was like, oh, is there a way to do this forever? And that's all I've ever wanted. I've been chasing that since that day, and that was 33 years ago. Yeah. I'm just chasing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And everything I look at, every time I think of like the Comedy on Vinyl podcast that I was talking about, that was all like, it came down to, I'd have a guest on and they'd be like a big star, but I'd be like, did you ever make friends over comedy, specifically comedy records? And I just mostly because I wanted to see, hey, is this a common story? And it turns out it was a very common story. And I think that's why we get into it, because it's communal. Comedy is so communal, it's just like, you made somebody laugh, we just shared a thing. Everybody loves that feeling, so you just want to chase it. So that's what I've been doing. Even writing books about other people's comedy kind of satisfies that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So
I had short, just a few days to do some background.
Yeah.
So what was it, over the weekend? We walked over to the library and we got We're Not Worthy.
Oh.
And
thank you.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. I skimmed it because I didn't have time to really read it yet.
It's a dense book. There's too much going on.
Yeah, but I did notice that you have a love for Wayne's World.
Oh, yeah.
So walk us through that journey.
Okay, yeah, that's easy. I was a big SNL kid. Mostly Phil Hartman was like my hero, remains my hero to this day. But for some reason, we didn't see Wayne's World in theaters, I don't think. I don't know how we saw it. It might have been on VHS. I think I talk about it in the book. If I'm not mistaken, we bought the Wayne's World VHS at McDonald's for $5 because that was a thing you could do. And so we watched it, and then my buddy Mike and I, my buddy Mike Shaver, we both watched it every day this one summer and memorized it. Not on purpose, but when I found out he was watching it every day, I always looked up to Mike, even though he was 2 years younger than me. I'm like, I have to do it too. And so we both memorized it. Then eventually it became a thing that I got to perform on stage like those other movies. And then this book came around and the opportunity to interview Mike Myers came up. And so I was like, well, it is the most famous, most successful sketch comedy movie of all time. So then I got to write a whole chapter on it, which was practice, I hope, because it would be really cool to write a Wayne's World book one of these days.
Yeah, so which character did you perform?
I performed Garth. I was so convinced I could do Wayne, and everybody's like, Jason, you probably could, but do you want that? And they're not wrong. By the end of the night, I had so many people coming up to me. They were drunk. This show was called A Drinking Game, but they were like, if I closed my eyes, you sounded just like Dana Carvey. I thought you were. It was like, oh, thanks so much, because I was equally drunk. I was like, oh, thanks. It was a good time. So it just turns, you always have to go for the star role.
Yeah, and when I think about it, I love both characters.
Yes.
I think Garth edges Wayne out.
Yeah. He's great.
For sure.
He's great. It was my ego speaking when I thought I wanted Wayne.
Uh-huh.
And picking one of my best friends, Alan, to play Wayne is a much better choice because he's so sweet and he's very good to play that part. Yeah.
Nice. So going back to is it archivist or archivist?
Archivist. I sometimes use both interchangeably, but technically the word's archivist. Yeah.
All right, archivist. So I never really thought about archiving comedy history, and it just, it seems logical.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
It just never even, kind of was a thing to me. It never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So, and I know that comedy plays such a big part in people's lives. To me, it's always, when I just think of kind of the base of comedy, to me, it's I always think of Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. And I think, he brings laughter to sadness, mm-hmm. and, brings light to the darkness.
Yeah.
And just listening to some of the old school comedians, they kind of have that same feel. Maybe mm-hmm. a little less now, but there's still some comedians out there who are still doing that.
Sure.
So how did you get involved in the comedy archivist? That's not really an industry, but just
right. It's definitely
just
not
a thing.
You want to talk about something in entertainment that pays less than doing what I do? It's being an archivist. One of my closest friends, his name is Taylor Jessen. He reached out to me through the podcast because he'd heard of it, and I think we had talked about one album by the Firesign Theater, and if anybody's out there don't know who Firesign Theater is, look them up. They're very weird. I call them a sketch comedy group. That's inaccurate. They're just a weird bunch of stoners that created brilliant concept art. Think Sgt. Pepper, but comedy. That's what all their albums were. And Taylor reached out, and he just wanted to talk to me because he's like, I love what you're doing. If you want to talk more about Firesign, let me know because I'm their archivist. And at that point, he had been for 15 years because he just moved out to LA, wanted something to do, met those guys, and found himself a fan. And then he's been ripping all of their stuff since then, digitizing everything. I helped him in 2018 digitize more stuff because they had to send it all off to the Library of Congress. And because of that, I was like, oh, this is a theme, right? Somebody does something really cool, and I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. And I try it out. Turns out I'm okay at it. I'm not as good as he is. I do not have the depth and breadth of knowledge that he does. But I started archiving, doing a digital archive for this comedian named Dick Davey, who nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew his true identity. And then I started doing one for the TV sitcom News Radio because I just happened into some stuff for News Radio.
Was Phil Hartman on that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And part of my archive is one of the ties he wore on that show, and part of my archive is one of the special suits he wore on that show. There's an episode of that show, while it takes place in a news radio station, in that one episode they decided, what if it took place in a space station? And it was just an excuse to add the word space to everything, and it was a stupid half-hour joke, and I have his space suit from that episode. So for me, comedy archiving is half collecting and half just preserving stuff because Dick Davey, while he wasn't the most obscure comic, could have just gone down in history without anybody knowing who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess even going further now that you're explaining what you were doing for that, just thinking about it, I would just assume it's digitizing, stand-up, shows or just comedy shows.
Yeah.
But I would have thought you're taking physical items and also...
If I can.
Yeah, that is pretty neat.
The thing with Dick Davey that's hardest, though, is once I found out who he was and I got in contact with his family, and they were very sweet and very kind. His sort of common law wife even sent me a clipping from his scrapbook. She passed away suddenly only a couple years ago, and I was very sad to hear this, but I was not as sad, but also incredibly sad to find out that, we don't know where any of his stuff is now because we don't know who she left it with. Don't know who her next of kin was, if anything. So this is the sort of tragedy of being an archivist because that could be lost forever. Fortunately, with the internet and access to newspapers.com, I have a lot of that stuff, So it's preserving it, and it's preserving their story and preserving sort of his journey, his path from unknown to pretty well known. He was on tons of episodes of Merv Griffin, to having a couple really big albums, to kind of on purpose fading into obscurity and stopping doing stand-up. But at least it resulted in me releasing an album of his stuff that nobody had ever heard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So do you have any really kind of interesting stories of doing the archiving work?
That is the big one. I did a whole episode of the Comedy on Vinyl podcast on that, which is just finding out who he really was. Nobody knew what his real name was. Turns out his real name was Richard Hoffman. turns out, luckily, his brother was still alive. He has since passed. I got there just in time, frankly, and I now know his niece. And because of that, she sent me, hey, Jason, here's like 30 pictures I found in a box of my dad's, and they're all of Dick Davey when he's a little boy or a baby. And it's all this great stuff, some letters he had sent. And then she's like, here's 2 records. And I'm like, what are you talking about, 2 records? You know my thing is records, right? And so she sent those to Taylor. She lives in the Bay Area. He lives down in LA, and got all those ripped. And then it took 6 years to make into an album, but it became an album last year. So that was the big thing, just like trying to preserve his work.
So were they just like smaller recordings, and then you put them on like an album?
Yeah, so they were acetates, and for those who don't know, acetates are so fragile. I'm surprised they even survived the shipping. He told her how to pack them safely, and by the time he got them, he's like, these might not play. I have no idea. I might have one chance to play them before they just fall apart and flake apart. But he got them, he cleaned them up, and then another fan of that same podcast of mine found an old TV appearance by Dick Davey that we used for basically the other half of the album, because otherwise it would be a very short record. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're like demos is what those 2 acetates were.
So when you say acetate, is that just reel to reel?
No, they're records. They're records.
Records.
But they're like shellac records. So if you've ever seen like shellac on steel, that shellac gets brittle over years and sometimes will just fall right off.
Oh wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It's difficult. We dealt with one other one on that same podcast. I hope it's still preserved, because it was a long lost Bob Newhart record that nobody had heard for 50 years until my podcast. So we made a little bit of history on that show, which was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I can kind of, now you're talking through all this, something came back from my past that I can kind of relate to archiving and brittle media. So I was back, it was probably like mid-90s. I worked at a recording studio, and just kind of getting started, mostly working like assistant, second engineer kind of stuff. And one of the locals he was a bass player in the Little River Band. I think it was Little River Band. Yeah. And so he had done a bunch of like commercial demos and stuff, like just turning like Bowie songs into bank commercials kind of stuff.
Of course.
And
that's great.
So, he wanted all of that. He wanted me to digitize all that. Wow. So I was like, sure. Yeah. And then he just brought boxes and boxes. And this, like, some of the tape was like, it was like White Glove, Laboratory. Yeah. And it just cleaning the machine every single time just so it would stick less. And, some of it was saved, some of it wasn't. But, some of it was like pretty cool. Like, it was like 70s kind of disco stuff for the most part.
That's the kind of stuff I love. When I would interview so many people, and I'd be like, so do you still have that thing you were talking about? And the answer most of the time was, no, I lost that years ago. I'd tear my hair out what I had left of it, and I'd just be like, oh no, come on, save your stuff, people. People don't think their stuff's important once they're done with it, and I kind of appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm like, for everybody else, let us have it. I love that. I had to watch Taylor. I made a little documentary about Taylor getting this stuff ready for the Library of Congress, and watching him. It's such a sensitive thing, but some of those reel-to-reels, you have to bake, like literally throw in the oven and bake them. And he did that, and like once you do that, you probably get one chance to capture it, and then you're boned otherwise. So I watched him do it, and I don't know how he did it without freaking out every time.
Yeah. That was one thing I mentioned it to that bass player, and he was like, I was like, I don't want to be responsible. Yeah. So if you're giving me the okay, I'll try it.
Sure.
But
right.
I'm not volunteering it.
I wouldn't either. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So I get that feeling. So anything else you want to talk about the archivist role?
I'm trying to think. That's really the biggest part of it. I want the news radio thing to be a little bit bigger than it is. There's a weirdly small but like fervent fan group of news radio online, but there's not a lot of stuff out there. It's hard to get a hold of. But I think partially because of our efforts and the fact that we give enough of a crap about that show. I know that Paul Sims, who did, I had a podcast about news radio too. He did that show. He has since started to look into having that show transferred to HD for the first time in 30 years. It's never been HD. Wow. So that might happen. I'm not going to say I'm responsible for that, but I think at least I might be interested in keeping the legend alive long enough to make that a possibility.
Yeah.
That's kind of for me, that's part of it. That's not that way for every archivist or every librarian. But
Nice.
yeah.
So I know just from my love of music, recently, there's a punk rock museum in Las Vegas that was opened up. So is there anything like that, like a comedy, like museum or Hall of Fame or anything?
There's one in, oh my goodness, is it Jamestown, New York? Is that right? I think that's where it is. It's wherever Lucille Ball is from. It's a weird location, but I will tell you, a lot of places, a lot of people have sold / given their archives to them, and as long as they're doing the job right, then great, because they've got George Carlin's archives, they've got the Lucy archives, I think, tons and tons and tons and tons, just keeps going there. So
nice.
I have not been there yet. It's a pilgrimage. I do want to go one of these days. Yeah.
Nice. It's good to know that there's something out there like that.
I know.
And, it will always be accessible, hopefully, to future generations.
Yeah.
And,
I'd like to see something like that open in Chicago, though, because Chicago, to me, is the comedy city, and everything I end up writing, my books all end up kind of Chicago-centric.
Yeah.
One by design and one by accident. We're Not Worthy ends up, there's so much Chicago stuff in that book. And I think that needs, because it's the birthplace of what we call improv now,
Yeah.
and because it's the birthplace of the places that became the birthplace of SNL, I think it would be, they deserve something like that.
Was that the first second city in Chicago, or was that Toronto?
Yes, it was the first one, yeah. But that's the other thing, is that Toronto, though, also has a claim to, like, Canadian comedy changed American comedy forever in the late 70s and early 80s, so, like, Canada should have something, too.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
It's like Ohio and North Carolina have the squabble over the Wright brothers.
Right, yeah, it's one of those things, yeah.
All right. Well, how about you mentioned your podcast co-host. You have
Yes.
the Dave and Jay's Comedy Hour.
Dan and Jay's Comedy Hour.
Dan.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's all right.
All right.
You
So close.
You can go
So
back
close.
and cut it and fix it. I
That's
don't
all right.
care.
That's all right. I'm embarrassed.
Don't be
I'm
embarrassed.
embarrassing and
No, don't be embarrassed. That's fine.
I'm flawed. How about that?
We're all flawed. Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
fine.
So how did that start? And from what I was looking, it goes pretty far back.
It does. So the podcast started in 1990. No, it didn't. See, we're all making mistakes today.
It's contagious. I did it too.
No, it started in 2014. So that was it's the 20th anniversary of us starting, 21st anniversary of us starting comedy together. And that show is weird because it is an excuse for my best friend and I to stay caught up, because he lives in Boise, and when we started it, I lived in LA, and now I live here. So that's just how we stay in touch. And so sometimes it's just us BSing for an hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes characters come onto the show that we both play. Sometimes we bring on celebrities, and sometimes those people participate, and sometimes they play weird murderers from history. It's a weird show. It's a very weird podcast, but I love doing it.
So what do you want to say right now that would attract people to pull them in to listen?
Murderers. No. I think the thing, if you like goofy improv from a group that has been going longer than Daft Punk, I feel like I should point out Daft Punk came out the same year we did. Even though we were 12 and 13, we've outlived them. So I don't care what anybody says, we outlived Daft Punk. Just if you like fun improv and otherwise like the stories of two weird dudes who grew up in upstate New York together, then it's a fun show. And we have celebrities sometimes. So.
Yeah. Well, so Daft Punk, they burned out and faded away.
Yep.
You two are still going strong.
Exactly right. Because
you have what it takes to.
Exactly.
You have the content. To keep
we've
going.
performed live together precisely once, but you know what? Daft Punk, they performed live too many times. That's what it was.
That has to be it.
Yep. We did it once. We were out. It was just this last September that we did it too. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, you want to talk about embarrassment? That's the one thing I didn't turn off. Airplane doesn't fix that. My apologies.
That's right.
Jeez.
No, this show's about being human. So,
sure. Okay. That's fine.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It won't be edited out. My goal is to just let it run.
Yeah.
Clean it up a little bit.
Sure.
Put it out there. If there's any like super moments, then I'll take it out. But
yeah.
All right. So I guess your voiceover artist, the stuff you've been doing there. So the one thing I did have a chance to check out. So the Gifts of Fire, the radio announcer. That was so like. When I think of those old videos or any old movie about when it would be like some promotional whatever, I don't know, they're not promotional about World War II,
but like a
those
newsreel kind of thing,
the newsreels, exactly.
That's the
that
thing,
was so spot on,
right? Well, thank you. It's the thing I grew up watching. I watched Phil Hartman parody it a lot, and I watched a bunch of old timey stuff growing up. I always grew up watching old movies, and I always wanted to be in a World War II movie anyway. The closest I ever got was being an extra in the Pacific until this happened.
So can I have you
Yes.
do the rest in that voice? Or just the rest of this portion?
Dateline 2009. Jason Klamm is an extra in the Pacific. Then what happens a few years later? He's cast in The Gift of Fire, which is a film from the Japanese perspective about World War II and their attempt to create the atomic bomb. I asked the director, is this too much? And he said, no. I was a little worried about it, and I'm still not sure about it to this day, but guess what? It's still in there, and it's always going to be in there, and I'm really proud of it. It's so much fun.
Oh
It's
my God,
the
that
most
was-
fun voice to do on the planet.
Yeah, I got some laugh tears going. Oh my God, that was great. So, what got you into the voiceover? Work.
You kind of rewrite these things as you go along, because I was listening to or watching some old video, and one of the first professional things we ever did, I did the voiceover for it, and I was 14, and I sounded like my entire body was filled with snot. I sounded just like this, and I'm just, oh no, didn't you blow your nose before you get in front of a mic, kid? But there's something about, I think it's mostly Phil Hartman that made me want to do it. Phil Hartman and a guy named Rob Paulson, who voiced Raphael on the Ninja Turtles show. He was also Yakko on the Animaniacs. Hello, Nurse. One of my favorite guys of all time. I've since interviewed him too. They're just there's something about knowing, oh, there's a guy behind that. Like, a guy can do more than one voice. That's a thing? Like, I had no idea. And then it just slowly but surely I developed, like, I really, really, really want to do this. And my dream was, I'm going to perform voiceover with Phil Hartman. Then Phil Hartman was murdered. So that dream was dead, but I still kept it alive that I wanted to keep. So my dream is still cartoon work. I still really want to do cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my first thing to think of for voiceover is cartoons. But
Yes.
then, I saw the radio announcer, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, that I guess that's it too.
Yeah, there's almost no English language dialogue in that whole movie because it's a Japanese production. But it's me, Peter Stormare, and one other guy. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just the three of us.
So who was Phil Hartman on The Simpsons? What voice character was he?
Let's see, Troy
trying to
McClure,
think.
Lionel
Yeah.
Hutz. He was
Lionel Hutz, that's the one.
and then Lyle Landley, from the monorail episode. So many other episodes, but the big ones are those two.
Oh my
Those
God,
three.
monorail episode. That was
So good.
so awesome.
I love that episode. Written by Conan O'Brien.
Oh really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He has since said that that's the thing that will go on his tombstone. He wrote the monorail episode.
Oh nice. Wow, that is great.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal episode. I just love doing voices. I've always done voices. I'm an impressionist too. And then eventually, like, doing that show in LA called The Drinking Game, I got to do voices almost every month. Like, I was Marty McFly, I was Vizzini and the Six-Fingered Man in Princess Bride. Any opportunity to do a voice, I would take it and run with it. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's fun.
So I guess related to that, acting. So I did notice on your website that not many of us can say that we have Elijah Wood as a best friend.
Yep.
So
Yep.
tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I love saying that he's my best friend, even though we've exchanged about 10 words. So I did extra work. I did about 100 extra gigs in LA. And then around 2018, a friend of mine came to one of the drinking game shows. I think it was Pee-wee. It was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So my only line I remember in there was one of Phil Hartman's lines, because I demanded to be Phil Hartman every time there was a production with him in it. And he came up to us and he was like, oh, I'm working on Drunk History right now. And I'm like, wait, what? Can you get me on that show? And I meant as an extra. He's like, are you an expert in anything? And we don't have to go down this avenue, but yes, I'm an expert in the vice presidency, and that's what I brought up. But I'm like, he doesn't mean this. He doesn't mean this. And then when he sobered up, the best he could offer me was extra, but I was fine with it. And so he's like, hey, come in. One of these, we do a few outdoor extra scenes, and then he's like, come here, I want you to come to set. You're going to sit down over here. He didn't tell me I was going to be sitting as closer than you and I are to Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood's right here, and I got to stare into Frodo's eyes. And I will tell you, why people are movie stars the second you sit next to them, because it's Elijah friggin' Wood. And I was with Elijah Wood for like 8 hours that day.
Oh wow,
it was amazing.
Nice.
Made him laugh once. That was good. That's all I needed.
And that was enough to solidify that best friendship, right?
Yeah. Even though we've never shared another word together, I still say we're best friends. This isn't a wedding ring. This is one that should have gone into Mordor.
All right, so going back to the Donnie and Marie dinosaur thing, So you had you're a filmmaker as well, and you had the award-winning short film Dinosaurs. They certainly were big. So you kind of talked a little bit about that. That kind of came out of, was it high school or college?
It was college.
College.
Yeah, it was a college science class.
So how did it get to the award-winning part?
I worked, when I went to LA, one of my first temp jobs was for a company that had been bought by Yahoo very recently within that timeline. And it was a company that pay per click is still a thing now, or like, you click enough and you pay. But back then it was a little more complicated, and they had people physically monitoring, hey, you want to pay for when people write tsunami relief to go to your Ketchup website. Well, you're not going to get that because a human being just checked, and there's no tsunami relief on your website. Don't try and scam us. I spent most of my time, however, listening to BBC Six Radio, streaming, and just looking around the internet, messing around, and barely doing my job. There's a reason I only lasted 7 months there. It's a shock it was 7 months. And during it, I found this website called Know It All Video. So this is 2004. So it's literally months before YouTube existed. And I'd had a viral video 3 years before this in 2001. But it was just a place where like, upload your video that teaches people things. It was a very specific, like, this has to be educational. I'm like, well, I got this video. Maybe this counts. It's also funny. So I uploaded my basic primer on dinosaurs. It would work for anywhere from like 10-year-old kids to 20-year-old kids who've forgotten everything they knew when they were 10. And I think it's pretty funny still. And uploaded it. It got, for that website, got thousands of views, which was pretty good. Several thousand views in 2004 wasn't bad. And then it was automatically entered into a film contest for Frontier called the Cloud9 Short Film Contest. And if you won, it would play on in-flight TV. Yeah. And so I was one of the winners and didn't win any money, but I will tell you, it was a thrill at 24 to get interviewed by the New York Times about it. Like, they interviewed me, and then the Chicago Sun-Times picked it up and stuff. So it was fun. Yeah.
So it sounds like it was kind of like accidental. Oh yeah. Like getting to that point.
Very much so.
Once I watched it. It was funny. We were laughing most of the time. So
good. I'm
so
glad.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So I can see why I got the award, but it was just kind of like dumb luck that.
Oh yeah.
Kind of took that tangent.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I was convinced for a while this was my break. This is going to be the thing. However many years later, I'm still waiting for that to pay off. But it's okay. It was a good time, and it was fun, and a lot of people saw my thing. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to the author stuff.
Yeah.
We're Not Worthy again. I did some skimming of it, really, and I want to go back and read it. And the last episode, I was telling Katie that I really want to get back into reading, and she recommended finding a genre that you really enjoy. Yeah. And here we go.
Yeah.
I just skimming it, I was like, I got to go back and read it.
That's great.
It was because it kind of brings back a lot of old memories and everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Like some of these, I didn't even hear of some of these, and then then I would look to see who you listed out as comedians or actors that were in there, and I was just like, whoa.
Right. It's kind of mind blowing, especially like when you see that there was a pilot for Second City or whatever that had Steve Carell and then 10 other people who ended up being really famous. Yeah, it's kind of, and a lot of these I didn't know about until I started writing that book. But yeah,
like because whenever I watched the sketch comedy, I never thought of it as individuals. It was always as the group. So like whatever 30, 40 years later, I kind of looking back through your book, I'm like, oh, they were there.
Right.
And I remember watching it a long time ago, but just. The names never really stuck.
For sure.
Unless it was like SNL maybe.
Yeah, of course.
But even like a show I haven't heard of in I don't know how long. It was Exit 57.
Oh yeah.
And then looking at that there was like Colbert. I was like, what?
Right. I know, it's nuts. It's
like,
so crazy.
And then you look at more shows and it's like I didn't even hear of this one. Okay, and then it's got Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine in it. Was it Joe
Ladrillo? Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is great stuff. It's like I want to dig into this and go back and see if I could find some footage of this stuff somewhere on YouTube or something.
You can. I will tell you, the state's really hard. I would recommend, I guess I'm not supposed to, but go to archive.org. There are people who have uploaded like the original versions. Because if you buy, buy the state on DVD, they've replaced all of the original real 90s era music with stock music that sounds kind of like Nirvana. And it's not as good, obviously. It kind of sucks.
Yeah. Oh, and one I just have to mention out there, just because again I haven't thought about it in years, was Living Color.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
I love that show so much.
Yeah, that was so good. That was, it was, because it was totally different than anything else that kind of happened before, or I would say almost even after.
Yeah, and I feel lucky that I got exposed to like new black comedy at the same time I was getting exposed to white comedy for the first time. Like, it's so cool. I got all these perspectives all at once. It was neat.
Yeah. So again, I'm excited to go and actually sit down and read every word of the book. So
I hope you enjoy it.
So speaking of the book, We're Not Worthy.
Yes.
In your prologue, you actually, as the 8-year-old, you wrote a joke that you say was inappropriate.
Yeah.
Is it still inappropriate?
Yes.
Would you share it here or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
We won't go there.
It's one of those things where, like, if you question it, it's weird to question an 8-year-old at all, right? But you can then question the 45-year-old who chooses to say it out loud again.
Gotcha.
So I don't want to. It's not like my parents were terrible parents kind of thing, but it was me definitely trying stuff out for the first time, and looking back, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I obviously did. I understood joke format for sure. So format-wise, perfect joke. Subject matter-wise, maybe not so much.
Yeah. So how about in lieu of repeating that joke? How about we pick a which would you choose card?
All right. Okay. I don't know how this goes. Okay, so I'm
you
just
have
to
two
read
choices.
this out loud. Oh,
yeah.
50 turtles living in your house, or 100 canaries living in your house. This is terrible. This is awful.
Have you ever had a turtle?
No. I love them. I'm going to go with turtles. But, yeah, I'm going to just go with turtles because they're not noisy. And all they do is eat lettuce. So that's fine. Yeah, I'm going to go with turtles. That's an easier choice for me.
I'm going to go with canary because we had a turtle and the whole house smelled like sewage most of the time.
Well,
so.
I've made my bed. Now I'm going to smell. Well, now I know.
All right. So we put you through that.
Yes, you did. It was good.
All right. So the last thing, the real big reason you're here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off by my favorite quote from the movie, and because it makes me think of today and where I'm at, is life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it.
Yeah.
And here I am, 53 years old, and kind of looking back, while I think I did stop enough, stop sometimes, I don't think I stopped enough.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I feel like I've missed a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really funny that, can I tell you how dumb I feel right now? But actually, not dumb. I actually kind of love this, is that you bring this up. This is the quote that comes up probably most of the time, right? And it's the quote, though, that I think is most taken for granted at the same time. It can be very easy to just, like, let that roll off of you. Like, yeah, cool. He lives day to day. But the thing I've been noticing right now, I've been trying to fix, is I'm on a book tour. This book tour is not a ton of stops, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make sure that I appreciate it as I go, because what if I might never get it? Why should I assume I'm ever going to get to do another book tour? This is my thing. Just got to live with it. This is my first live podcast I've done in forever, and it's in my hometown, my new home, my chosen hometown, right? I was just in my chosen hometown's paper. I should be happy about that, but it's really hard if you don't frigging stop for 2 seconds and pay attention.
Exactly.
It's really hard. But yeah, I get it. But at least there's the bonus that at least you're able to reflect on it, right? And be like, okay, maybe I didn't look enough then, but I can do that now. And even if you don't do it enough now, you're at least always trying. There is something to that.
Exactly. Like, the thought's always back there. It's like you have a choice. When you come to a crossroads, okay, you can do the boring thing and go over here, or you could do something different and interesting and see what happens.
Right. And there's a lot of that around here. There's a lot of different stuff around here. I went to Belle Isle for the first time a few months ago. I'd never been. It's gorgeous. Have you been?
Oh, yeah. We've been there a couple times.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm really hesitant. I want to try that giant slide so bad.
Yeah.
But
Same.
I have a feeling that will end.
My back
badly.
won't like it. My hips won't like it. I'm an old man. My body's old, but I do want to try it.
Yeah, I think I have to review our healthcare insurance policy to see what the deductible is and where we're at for the year. So,
oh God.
Those are the things that that's how you start thinking with age, I guess.
Yeah. Like, how is this going to affect me down the line? But that's part of it, right? Like, take the risks that you can afford to take.
Exactly. So with that, Jason,
Yes.
please tell us about your book. From what I read, it was decades in the making, starting with a 10-year-old Jason watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time.
Yeah, like that was a movie that and I've said this several times, but I almost failed junior high, partially because of depression, but partially because I stayed home a lot to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off so that I didn't have to deal with actual school. I wanted that fantasy of being elsewhere and freedom. The movie's all about freedom. That's what it's entirely about. And so I was hooked on it from the time I was a kid. It's one of the other movies besides Wayne's World, maybe Clue, Grease 2, a few others that I memorized as a kid, absolutely memorized. And then it's one of those shows that I performed on stage a few years later. I played Ed Rooney and I played the garage attendant. And I interviewed Alan Ruck for We're Not Worthy, and everything started to fall together. And I realized, I might actually get to write. And nobody'd written a detailed book about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which neither of us has said out loud. This is a book about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And
how about the title? What's the title?
It is Ferris Bueller, You're My Hero.
Okay.
The story of the world's most famous day off. I actually remembered the subtitle. That's shocking. I never do. It's from 1984 publishing, and it is the. I don't want to say oral history because oral history implies it's just question, answer, which it is not. It is thoroughly researched, thoroughly written. I wrote every word of it, except for the stuff people said to me, which, obviously those are their quotes. But yeah, that movie just means a lot to me. And nobody'd done this, and people have written books about John Hughes or the oeuvre of John Hughes. Nobody's written really a full 120,000 word book about Ferris Bueller's Day Off or any of his movies. So yeah, this movie means a lot to me. And it also is like, I'm not going to say a love letter to Chicago, but I do love Chicago. That's where I went to school. That's where I shot dinosaurs. They certainly were big originally. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit of a homecoming book in that way.
And I didn't even know, but John Hughes is from Michigan.
Yeah, originally I think he was born in Lansing, if I'm not mistaken, raised in Grosse Pointe, and then as an early teen, that's when they went to Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I dug up some stuff about his family that I've never seen in any other sources. Nobody did the research, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which was your favorite interview that you did for the book?
That's hard. So I interviewed.
How about top three?
Top three. I
Make
mean,
it
Matthew
easier.
Broderick and Alan Ruck you have to include in there. I'm just going to include them as one because those characters are kind of the same. They're interlinked. So I'm cheating. So I apologize. James Hughes, which is John Hughes' son, and then I interviewed. Which one do I pick? Who do I pick of those? Because there's so many people who work behind the scenes who gave me hours and hours and hours of information. Ooh, that's really difficult. It's really hard to pick. But you know what? John Hughes' assistant, Jane Lay, very nice. She gave me a ton of information. Stuff that nobody knew about John Hughes. Stuff that has never been put in print about John Hughes or Ferris Bueller's Day Off and would have been a problem back in the day maybe. So there's some stuff in this book that nobody's talked about yet. But yeah, she was a good one. People who just gave me the deep scoop on John Hughes without, everybody kept an eye out for his reputation even though he's passed on. But people gave me a lot of really good information about him. They didn't have to, but they trusted me. So that was nice.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, because when you think of the 80s and movies, you think John Hughes.
Yeah, you do.
He's made so many. I can't even. You probably can list them. I can't. But
I mean, I can list some of them, but I'm not even expert on him. Like that's one of those things. Like I'm only an expert on this movie because I did all the work. Like I like Breakfast Club a lot, but I had not seen 16 Candles until I wrote this movie or book. Sorry. So I had to dig into that. I'd seen Weird Science. That movie's a little creepy and problematic now.
Yes.
Pretty in Pink, I didn't hate. I actually kind of liked Pretty in Pink. What other ones? But there are a few others that I hadn't seen that I had to watch for this, and I was like, oh, now I know more of his work.
Yeah. So out of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which character do you personally relate with
It's
the
Cameron.
most?
It's Cameron. Almost everybody says Cameron, and if they don't and they think about it for a minute, they'll usually go back and say no, it's Cameron because you're supposed to relate to him. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if John Hughes intended it that way. They're mixed. He gives out mixed signals about what he meant by the way he wrote Cameron, but to me, I think it's nature to relate to Cameron, or at least Jeannie, because I think a lot of us, if you've had a sibling and if at any point you feel like you've been left out of something or screwed over, or your parents are preferring the other kid, and Jeannie is the other character. Jeannie and Cameron are the only two characters in the movie with an actual character arc, so they're the most relatable, I think.
Great. So you will be, I guess I'll let you talk about where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing here at the library.
Oh, yeah.
And if anybody wants to, show up and meet you and whatever other festivities are happening that day.
Yeah, I don't know everything that Lisa Beth has planned, but at Berkeley Library, where you can find Burkbuster, which is their fantastic selection of films that you can take out through the library. At the Berkeley Library on June 12th, starting, if I'm not mistaken, oh God, is it at 6? I think it starts at 6.
Zoe's saying 6. She's confirming.
Thank
We're
you.
good.
Yes, it's 6. So from 6 to 6:30, I'm having a conversation with Lisa Beth about the book, and then for the rest of it, it's kind of a mingle, hang out, talk about the movie, talk about the 80s, find a movie to take home, that kind of thing. And I will be selling and signing books as well. But yeah, that's on the 12th.
Cool. So when's the official release date of the book?
The official release date is June 16th. So these are still advanced copies people will be getting.
Nice.
And I will have a limited number of goodies to give out, including like this bracelet that I'm wearing. So things like that.
Cool. So you're going to be signing books?
Yes.
Nice.
I will, for sure.
All right, cool. We'll have to swing by.
That'd be amazing. Please do.
Nice. All right, anything else you wanted to talk about, or?
I could talk about myself all day, so you should probably just cut me off. It's fine. I'm enjoying this. Like, you did more research than most people do. Nobody's ever asked me about dinosaurs. They certainly were big.
So the first episode, I was like, I'm gonna go into this, do no research. I want to be
I get it.
surprised, expected, and then I was like nervous the whole time.
Sure.
So it's like I got to do some research.
I
now.
understand that.
So
I understand that.
I tried not to dig too deep. I didn't have a lot of time, so
Sure.
that worked.
You dug really deep, though.
Worked in my favor.
Yeah, it was good. That was good.
All right. Well, if in that case, thanks so much. It was really a
Thank
pleasure meeting you and
Same.
speaking with you and hearing some stories and hearing all about you. You've done a lot of really, really interesting things so far, and I'm sure you have many years to
Fingers
expand
crossed.
on all that too. So
I hope so.
We all have health insurance.
Yeah,
so.
right, exactly.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not going to go down the slide tomorrow. You know?
Yeah. Well. Okay. If you ever like tell yourself I'm going down the slide and you're not sure about it, just like drop me a line.
Okay.
And I'll talk you out of it.
Okay.
And it'll be the other way around.
Okay,
if I'm ever like I'm doing it, you could be like I don't know.
The problem then is what presents is that if we happen to both be on Belle Isle at the same time, I think we might then talk one another into doing it. See, that's the other problem.
True.
You know? At which point, hey, all bets are off.
Yeah. And maybe we'll have one of those like Star Trek episodes where there's some, some tear and some continuum.
All because of a slide.
Exactly. You never know.
You never know.
It's a very odd thing.
Yeah.
So I could see like a Star Trek episode coming out of that slide.
I like it.
Well, maybe we'll have to write that for one of the maybe write a new series.
Yeah. That'd be
all
fine
about
with that.
it all is around the slide.
If the Star Trek people are listening, I'll just be an extra on Star Trek. I don't care. Preferably Strange New Worlds before they're done. They might actually be done making it, but still.
Whatever the next one is.
Yeah, I'll do it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. So for more info about Jason's upcoming book and everything else about Jason, we'll be sure to add that info into the episode details. This is Ramshackle United signing off. Let's keep building commonality block by block.